In a quiet town in America, a young and happy family had just purchased a new house. Scott and Lisa, along with their 2 children, dreamed of building their lives in the new home. However, this house had a dark history. At first, everything seemed perfect. However, on the first night the family moved in, strange occurrences began. They heard peculiar sounds coming from the walls and whispers in the corridors after midnight, disturbing the family's peaceful sleep. For a few days, the family ignored these noises. However, over time, the atmosphere in the house began to change. A cold wind blowing through the rooms, doors closing on their own, and occasionally mysterious shadows appearing started to unsettle the family. Scott and Lisa tried to explain these events not as supernatural, but as simple phenomena. However, their children became sensitive to the mysterious presence in the house. They began following the shapes they saw in the darkness. One night, the family discovered a door in the basement marked with a strange symbol. Upon opening the door, they were met with a cold breeze and an eerie light. Deep inside, they felt the awakening of a curse from the past. The family decided to investigate the story of the previous owners, and dark secrets began to surface. The house was a witness to murders and atrocities from a dark period of slavery. The previous occupants believed that the dead had returned for revenge. The family had to confront the past. As they traced the traces of murder and cruelty, they began to encounter the haunted entity within the house. However, when the family decided to face the past, the terrifying events in the house gradually came to an end. When the haunted atmosphere in the house subsided, Scott and Lisa realized that the commitment and courage of the family had helped them overcome the dark past. In their new home, love and solidarity that bound the family together aided them in facing their fears and dispelling the shadow of the past. Though the haunting had ended, the experiences in that house left deep marks on the family's life and allowed them to make a fresh start. The shadow of the past, while forgotten, became a lesson for them, strengthening their family bonds. Rising within a dark and gloomy city, an eerie mental institution bore the name Sanatorium of Spirits. This place seemed to seize not only bodies but also minds. The souls treated here never fully recovered, transforming into wandering ghosts within its corridors. When Dr. Emily Williams started her job as a young psychiatrist in this mental institution, she was oblivious to the strange occurrences. From her first day, the peculiar behavior of patients wandering among shadows, their eyes glinting with an unnatural light, caught her attention. However, her dedication to her profession encouraged her to delve deeper into these bizarre circumstances. One night, she stumbled upon an abandoned room in the oldest wing of the hospital. Upon opening the door, a cold wind and a faint whisper greeted her. This room carried traces of a dark past, imprisoning the spirits of patients. As Dr. Williams began investigating the strange and terrifying tales told by the patients, she uncovered the unsettling truths of horrifying experiments conducted in the hospital's past. There was a history of dark games played with patient minds and the exploitation of spirits. The spirits of former patients still roamed the hospital, invading Dr. Williams' nightmares. The screams echoing in the corridors at night and the apparitions haunted her deeply. However, the doctor had to confront the dark history of the hospital and release these ghosts. One night, in the darkest room of the hospital, Dr. Williams encountered a monument where all the spirits seemed to converge. Here, the souls of former patients gathered, as if seeking revenge. Yet the doctor displayed the courage to set them free, liberating them from the curse of the past. The hospital was abruptly abandoned one night. However, Dr. Williams did not feel entirely free from the ghosts of the past. Her soul resonated with the screams of spirits still lingering in the dark corners of the hospital. Perhaps, even though the sanatorium was closed, the dark history would continue to live on in Dr. Williams' nightmares for some time. The intrepid adventurer had climbed to the peaks of a desolate forest, lost among the deep, dark greens. As the sky darkened and thunder rumbled, a torrential rain suddenly began to pour, and night fell rapidly. With eyes filled with the desolation of the forest, a glimmer of light caught the adventurer's attention. Drenched in the rain, the adventurer followed the direction of the mysterious light. In the silence left behind in the forest, a mysterious house appeared. The door was ajar, and upon entering, An eerie atmosphere immediately enveloped the visitor. The interior of the house was filled with dusty belongings, telling tales of a forgotten and abandoned past. The adventurer, wanting to dry their wet clothes by a warm fire, felt a strange atmosphere settle in. As they sat by the fire, peculiar sounds began emanating from the walls. Whispers, akin to the rustling of the wind, filled their ears. The old curtains in the windows seemed to sway as if moved by the wind, but when looked outside, it was evident that the wind was not blowing. As the eyes grew accustomed to the darkness, the sleeping eyes of the beings within the house began to open. The walls overflowed with ghostly figures, telling the dark secrets of the past. The adventurer saw the shadows of ghostly figures moving from room to room. The pains reflected in the eyes of those who once lived in this house were drawing them in. As the adventurer's eyes darkened, the sleepless eyes of the entities within the house opened. The walls, filled with ghostly figures telling the dark secrets of the past, became more vivid. The spirits of the past seemed to come alive. Suddenly, the lights in the house went out, and the adventurer heard echoing screams in the darkness. The breath of the ghosts was on their neck, and they had to confront the spirits wandering through the depths of the house. But in every corner, they encountered the traces of forgotten sorrows. As the night progressed, the haunted past of the house came even more to life. Abruptly, the lights in the house went out, and the adventurer heard echoing screams in the darkness. The breath of the ghosts was on their neck, and they had to confront the spirits wandering through the depths of the house. But in every corner, they encountered the traces of forgotten sorrows. As the night progressed, the haunted past of the house came even more to life. Suddenly, the lights in the house went out, and the adventurer heard echoing screams in the darkness. The breath of the ghosts was on their neck, and they had to confront the spirits wandering through the depths of the house. But in every corner, they encountered the traces of forgotten sorrows. As the night progressed, the haunted past of the house came even more to life. As the rain persisted at the forest's peak, the fear within this abandoned house forever shook the adventurer's soul.